Well, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today. Shout out to the Dragon Riders in the House of the Dragon. You guys, I'm a bit perplexed today. I'm a bit perplexed on this fine evening. If you can't tell, it is nighttime, or early morning time, depending on where you are. I'm a bit perplexed because while the other day, about a week ago, around the time of this low, it might have been this day, maybe it was the day after, I forget. I was convinced that this was the low. I'm not as convinced now because we haven't gotten any follow through. We didn't get the follow through we're looking for. BTC is looking like it wants to go down. I could see this being the low for BCH if we had a little bit more of a pump, and then BTC dumps, BCH dumps more, but inevitably it actually forms a higher low where BTC could form a lower low. That's generally how it happens when BCH forms its low before BTC. And that's also part of the reason why I felt like this low was the low for BCH, because it finds its low before BTC, and I think this next drive down is going to be the low for BTC. But it just so happens that potentially, as they do at times, they might find their low together, right? Or maybe BCH finds it a day earlier or 2 days earlier, right? All I'm trying to say is I'm not convinced this is the low anymore, and I'll go over why. Okay, so if we take this high to low here, couldn't even reach your 382, looking like you want to turn around. The daily RSI right now is at a point where it's rejected before. If you reject here, it's around that 50 area. We've addressed several times throughout this channel's history that BCH doesn't need to respect the 50 directly. Oftentimes it goes a little bit through it, right? Or just not quite to it. It's the 50 area. So rejecting here, I would consider the same as rejecting the 50, right? It's pretty close to it. Some charts are more strict. You need that like direct rejection, but with BCH, it's a little bit looser. So I would treat this, if today closes red, and it might, we'll see. If today closes red, I would treat this as a rejection off of this 50 area. If we bring this down to the more relative fib from this high to this low here, we reached up for the 618 and couldn't even get to it. It's not really a good look in my opinion. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's this one here. There's all kinds of fibs to draw. I don't know which one is the best one to use, but this kind of, to me, would make the most sense. Maybe we could use an extension. Actually, did I need to do this real quick. Let's see. There we go. Pause the music for everybody. From this low to this high here, 1618 tipped. We could not close above the 618. If we could close above it, I might have a different belief, but we have yet to close above it. So that's kind of the line in the sand right now. If we can close above 475, we're really close to it, then I'll be convinced that it's the low. But it's kind of funny now that we're really close to this line, that's when I'm bearish. That's, I wasn't bearish when we were down here. I was bullish. This was the low. Now I'm less confident. 618 support to 618 rejection could lead you down to your 618. Like prices down below these lows even are on the table for BCH, as crazy as that might sound. I'm not saying that I believe we're going to go there. I'm just saying it's possible. It's on the table with the data we have presented right now. And I'm going to go through the BCH PTC chart too, because I think that'll further validate the ideas that I'm promoting here. So looking at the RSI in the 4 hour, I must say it looks strong. I'm a big fan of it. It actually does look strong. With the volume that we're seeing, I'm surprised we're not seeing more follow through. That's a little bit worrisome. Being right here above the green line like this, that doesn't get me too excited either. I'd like to see some follow through. So today, and tomorrow, we need to get some velocity to the upside, because if not, that'll likely transfer to velocity to the downside. And right now, our minimum expected target would be 378 to 352. That 380 to 370 area, to me, it looks right. That feels right. I believe that could happen. However, perhaps we go lower. Perhaps we go as low as 300 itself, or around there. I don't think that we would break through 300, but let's see. Let's go on a weekly. I mean, maybe we do. I would think 300 would hold. 299, I guess, at the lowest. But I would think that 300 area would hold. I'm not saying I anticipate us going that low. I'm just saying with what's on the charts, it's things to consider. Where if we were considering this as the low, which I was for the past few days, considering that as the low, it's not on the table anymore. But now, as of today, as of yesterday, I'm a little bit perplexed, as I've been saying, right? I'm not quite convinced that this is the low yet. And I want to show you why. If you haven't seen, and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, but if you haven't seen this video here, Bitcoin wants to go lower. Just explaining that I do believe the price for Bitcoin is going to go down. I think that might be important to reference when talking about this segment of the video here. So BCH versus BTC. If we're looking at this chart, it also looks like on a daily basis you're rejecting the 50 area here, right? You've got higher highs in your RSI, high here, higher high, right? And all this time you've been getting lower highs. It's hidden bearish divergence in a downtrend that normally marks continuation. You'd likely continuation, meaning you'd likely see a low lower than this. And I've been saying this, I feel like pretty candidly, that I do expect the BCH BTC chart to drop lower, probably down to around this green line, probably. You know, as low as like 0.006 even, I think, or maybe it was 6.2. Let's see, from this low to this high. Yeah, 6.3, 6 itself. Yeah, it could go. We could go just below that green line. So if BCH versus BTC is going to lose value potentially, and I think it will, if it's going to lose value, and BCH or BTC looks like it's going down, then that would imply to me that BCH would go down too and likely see a new low. And I'm very convinced that BTC has not found its low yet. So that conviction rolls over to my analysis for BCH as well, especially when considering this chart here. I want to go to the daily. Again, I don't like the daily RSI. I don't like what we're doing with the price action. If we take this relative high here, I mean 382 rejection, not a good look in my opinion. 4-hour time frame looks strong. It does look strong, but it looks like it might be at the end of its rope, where you have this kind of uptrend. When that uptrend breaks, you'll probably move down, right? Like over here. You had this uptrend, right? Something like that, roughly, right? And then whenever that broke, that's whenever you moved past these lows here. Whenever that broke there, right around here, right? It was up in this area, all the way down. When that broke, that's whenever you like ignited your move down to here, which is lower lows. Now you're back testing this previous area, kind of, right? At a closing point. I mean, you're not right at the points of support, but finding resistance here still is probably not good. And then coinciding with the 123 green line there, rejecting the oversold zone or the overbought zone. You're just at a very delicate place where if you don't continue, if you don't maintain these high readings, maybe you can break this upward structure. But if you don't maintain readings up in this area, you're likely going to flop and you're going to go down and you're going to see a lower reading than what you've seen already. And that's my anticipation. I do think we're going to go lower. And if we lose percentages versus BTC, let me just see. I'll do some rough math real quick. Okay, let's just bear with me. It'll make sense. It'll make sense at the end. But bear with me. Let's say we go here at a minimum 9%. It's 9% of a drop. That sounds a bit extreme, man. 12%, 17%. 9, 12, 17. I'm just going to remember that. Okay, 9, 12, 17. If I believe, and I do believe, that Bitcoin will drop 9, 12, 17%, right? That's for BCH versus Bitcoin. If I believe Bitcoin could drop here at a minimum, then that would potentially mean if Bitcoin Cash is going to lose 9% versus BTC, then that would be an additional 9%. So that would potentially mean a 23% drop from the current price in BCH at a minimum, 9%, right, of a difference between BCH to BTC. And that's assuming their lows come in at the same time. So it might not be that exact. They might, I know I might be speaking in tongues here, but if the BCH BTC chart does see a 9% drop from its current readings, that doesn't necessarily translate into a 9% additional drop to BCH versus BTC on the overall lows, if that makes sense. I'm just doing this as like a rough estimation, okay? So it doesn't have to be exact, but essentially just trust me on the math here. I promise it checks out. 23% based off of these numbers would be the minimum expectation that we could derive for BCH to go. It was 9, 12, and 17, right? So 12%. I mean, I guess 12% at that same minimum would then be 26, and then 17 would be 31%. And those are all the minimums. And I kind of do expect BCH or BTC to find its low around this area. It could go lower, but I do. So So that 31, so it'd be 23, 26, and 31. 20, 23, 36, and 31. Okay, bear with me. If you can't follow the numbers, it's okay. I feel like I did a good job of making it clear, but maybe not, you know. I know numbers, especially when you're just like hearing them, it can just be like, what did you just say to me? Like, I'm a mathematical mind myself, man, and when people are talking numbers to me, it's like, unless I'm looking at it on a piece of paper, I'm like, what are you even saying to me? So I understand, but this is where it comes into fruition, right? So 23% being the minimum. Well, hey, that checks out. That checks out. In my opinion, that checks out. Look at this. Right in your expected zone. 26% also pretty much checks out. 31%, it's a little bit lower, but hey, it's still in that range where it's acceptable. You're still kind of near these lows over here. And I talked about that in the beginning. We could go below these lows. It's possible. So those are your minimum kind of expectations for BCH, in my opinion, right? It could go lower. It is possible, but I really don't believe that you're going to go below. I'm having a hard time even believing that you go below 350, honestly. I accept it as a possibility. I wouldn't be scared if it happened. I'd be a bit amazed, and I'd be like, let me take out a loan. I want to buy some Bitcoin Cash right now. let me call like anybody I can to lend me money. No, I'm just kidding. Don't take out lended money and make irrational decisions. You know, some people do it and they can do it responsibly. I think there is such a thing as handling debt responsibly. I think that you can, but you need to have a game plan for that kind of stuff. And more than that, you know, don't leverage your money. It's not worth it, man. Be happy with what you have. Try not to be greedy. But anyways, I'm saying that out there for all the new people and all the people who might be enticed and might be like, oh, you know what, that's actually a good idea. Let me just go to the bank and take out a $10,000 loan. If you have a game plan, it could be a good idea. But even then, even with a game plan, it could still be a bad idea. The risk, when you take out loan money, man, the risk goes up so much, and this is already a risky space. Why add to it when you don't need to? You can still make phenomenal gains even without that. But I digress. What I'm really trying to say is it's very, very possible, based off of the math that we just did, that we could see this area here, likely even below like 370 itself. We could even go below this orange line. It's possible. But I'm assuming that we will likely go below $400 for BCH. The Red Dragon is about to take another swing at us, set fire to Lake Town, and we're going to have to recoup, load up on our Green Dragons while she's low, while she's landed and rested, and then get ready for the pump. I want to be kind of clear also that when we find our low, I think this next drop, we might go right below the green line here. That would be a perfect area to buy. When we find our low, that does not mean it's off to the races. It could. It's possible. It is possible. But likely, we're going to consolidate, right, and just be boring for months, probably months. Okay, so don't, just because we find our low does not mean get excited that we're going to go to the moon. We could, but likely we won't go to the moon. And that also doesn't mean that buy down there, we do this and then we pull back. Don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. It'll all work itself out in time, you know. So I don't know. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm clear as to why I believe we are going to go lower. Back to this BCH BTC chart, just to end it up, you know. I feel like we do look like we're bearish. We've got hidden bearish divergence on the daily time frame. We've got, you know, a high reading. It looks like a rejection off this overbought zone. The last time we rejected off the overbought zone, we had this kind of move. You know, we're getting higher readings now, and still it's an overall lower high. I'm not too excited. It is a higher high within this range, so it's not technically hidden bearish divergence, but it still doesn't excite me. I'd want to see more follow through, and today is the day for that, right? Today would be the day for that. So prove me wrong, BCH versus BTC. Prove me wrong. Move up higher and keep going. Keep going, man. Get like above these highs. That'd be nice to see. But even just a little bit from here. Prove me wrong. Keep going. Get above the 50, you know. I don't think you will. I'm challenging you. I don't think you will. That's all I got, guys. So if you like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you all for coming. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye. Bye-bye. I said bye. Why are you still here? You've got things to do. I said bye. All right, guys, this is the real part of the show. Now that we've gotten all that, now that the feds are off our tail, we can talk about our grand conspiracies to overthrow the government and finally bring peace to the world. I don't think America is a bad place, man. I love America. It's the best country in the world. But damn it, we have some terrible politicians. We have some terrible people in control of us. It is literally, they're in control of us, and we just let it happen. We are the proponents, the children, the legacy of a country that is meant to be a mark of freedom in the world. Why don't we do something about it? But all jokes here, guys. I'm not trying to incite, a revolution or anything or a riot. I'm just saying, if anybody knows of something like that, I'd be curious to see. I'd be curious to get involved with that. But enough crazy talk. Haha, crazy talk. Right? Seriously though, I love America. I just hate our politicians. Almost all of them are genuinely evil people, and they do not care about the citizens at all. But they're the ones calling the shots, man. Or maybe they're taking the calls from people who are not even known publicly or considered, right? That's probably the more likely thing. But here I am talking, so take care. Bye-bye.